every fight to make next in the UFC Flyweight Division's top 15. There's already a lot of fights that have been made in the Flyweight Division, but we're going to still look at them and see the fighters that do not have fights scheduled, who they should be fighting next. Number 1 is going to be Tigier Ulambeka, coming off a loss to Tim Elliott in his last fight. Probably is going to get an unranked guy, which he does have, in Tyson Nam right there. Coming off that loss, he's not going to be fighting the best opponent. Probably is going to win that fight, in my opinion. So yeah, Tigier versus Tyson Nam makes decent sense, so I don't necessarily blame the UFC for making that one. Number 2, Manel Cop, another guy that already has a fight. I'm telling you, this Flyweight division already has a lot of fights scheduled. Manel Cop is already fighting Rogerio Bontorin on June 11th on the UFC 275 pay-per-view. Amir Albazi, another guy in the UFC Flyweight division, already has a fight against Tim Elliott. And we go up a little bit more. Suma Derji finally have someone that does not have a fight scheduled. And I think a perfect one, since people below him already have fights scheduled. Tim Elliott has a fight scheduled. David Dvorak could be good, but I'm thinking more of a Matt Schnell. I think Suma Derji's striking is very good, but they have not tested him with a very good wrestler or grappler very recently, and I'd like to see how he would fare against a guy like Matt Schnell. So that would be the first fight to make. Matt Schnell versus Suma Derji. I'm sure I'm spelling that incorrectly, but that would be the fight to make first in the UFC Flyweight division. Then we got David Dvorak coming off a loss to Matthews Nicolau. Probably deserves a fight outside of the UFC rankings, or at least someone below him in the UFC rankings. And I'm going to be honest, a guy that has been calling out David Dvorak very, very much recently is going to be Mohamed Mokaev, the youngest UFC fighter right now. He's the youngest guy at the moment in Mohamed Mokaev. He's fighting Charles Johnson on the July 23rd UFC Fight Night, and I think he wins that fight. I'm going to say Mohamed Mokaev, if he does win, versus David Dvorak. David Dvorak versus Mohamed Mokaev if he beats Charles Johnson. That would be the fight to make there. After that one, it gets very, very interesting because we got Matt Schnell. We already said him versus Suma Derji. Rogerio Bontorin is already fighting Manel Cop. Matthews Nicolau is a guy that does not have a fight at the moment. I mean, he might have. I mean, this Flyweight division, they announce the fights so obscurely. You never know when people have their fights. So he is not currently scheduled to have a fight. He's currently coming off of wins over David Dvorak, Tim Elliott, Manel Cop, Felipe Efrain, Alan Gabriel. He's undefeated in the UFC. Who should he fight next? Now, that win over David Dvorak was like a month and a half ago, not too long ago. But I do think he's going to have to wait a little bit. He's probably going to want a step up in the rankings. He's not going to get a Brandon Royval. He's not going to get an Alexandre Pantoja. Not going to get a Davis Figueiredo. Not even going to get the loser of Kai Kara France or Brandon Moreno. I think he could definitely get the loser of Askar Askarov and Alex Perez, though. So I think that would be the fight to make next for Matthews Nicolau. He's at number 7, Askar Askarov number 3, Alex Perez number 6. Matthews Nicolau versus the loser of Askar Askarov and Alex Perez. That would be the fight to make there. Matthews Nicolau versus a loser of Alex Perez versus... It'd be Alex Perez or Askar Askarov. I think Askar Askarov wins, so most likely we'll get Nicolau versus Alex Perez. Askar Askarov. That would be the fight to make there. After that one, Alex Perez already has his with Askarov. Brandon Royval is there. He already lost to Alexandre Pantoja. I believe he lost to Brandon Moreno as well. He lost, I think he actually beat Kai Kara France, right? Yeah, he did beat Kai Kara France. So I'm talking right now, he's not going to get a title fight. He's not going to get the rematch with Pantoja just yet. There's no real reason to do that. I'm saying the loser of Kai Kara France versus a Brandon Moreno versus a Brandon Royval. That would be the fight to make there. Brandon Royval versus loser of Kai Kara France versus Brandon Moreno. That'd be a very, very solid fight. Either way, Brandon Royval is getting a lot of rematches. no matter what here. He's fought so many guys in this top 5, maybe except for Askar Askarov, but yeah, I think those would be very, very good fights. Alexandre Pantoja, that's tough. I honestly would say you might actually give him a title fight right now, but it's very, very tough. I would say the winner of Askar Askarov versus Alex Perez, because recently, on the rankings, he's beaten some good guys, Manel Cop and then Brandon Royval in his last one. He also did get a good win in 2019 right here over Matt Schnell, but he lost to Askar Askarov and he lost to Deiveson Figueiredo. So I would actually say another rematch with Askar Askarov for Alexandre Pantoja. Alexandre Pantoja versus Askar Askarov rematch if Askarov beats Alex Perez. That's what I would like to see happen there. And then, of course, we do have another fight. Deiveson Figueiredo, however you spell that name, versus winner of Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara France, as it is for the interim flyweight belt right there. So there's a lot of fights to be made here. I mean, there's no real fights that have been announced in the top 15 of the flyweight division, except for a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, Jeff Molina has a fight, Tigier Ulambeka, Rogerio Bontorin, Amir Albazi, Elliott. A lot of guys have fights in this top 15 of the flyweight division. But the fighters that don't, including David Dvorak, I think he should go out there in his next fight and fights Mohamed Mokaev if he beats Charles Johnson. I think Matheus Nicolau versus the loser of Alex Perez and Askar Askarov. I think Brandon Royval versus the loser of Kai Kara France and Brandon Moreno. I think Pantoja versus Askar Askarov rematch if Askarov does beat Alex Perez. Deiveson Figueiredo versus the winner of Brandon Moreno and Kai Kara France. Those are the fights to make next in the UFC flyweight division. Put your thoughts down below. Make sure you guys like the video. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's go.